Good afternoon. Welcome to Federal Trademark Searching Getting Started. My name is Christina Calloway, and I'm an attorney advisor in Trademark's Customer Outreach, and I'll be your host today as we go through the basics of getting started searching in the Federal Trademark Search System. Before we get started, I'm just going to go through a few disclaimers and some housekeeping rules. Then we'll go over our agenda for today, what we're going to be discussing, and then we'll get into the meat of today's presentation. So first, just going to give a disclaimer that although I am an attorney, I cannot provide any legal advice. The USPTO does not provide legal advice, and this program is not going to be legal advice. It is for informational purposes only, and it's not going to include all aspects of searching. But we are going to cover the general concepts and mechanics of searching the Federal Register, just the basics, just the fundamentals. Today's session is going to be recorded, and that recording will be made available to you on our search system webpage. I'm going to show you where you can find that during today's presentation, as well as on the USPTO YouTube website. Now, you should have received the slides for today's presentation via email through Eventbrite, but if you have not, or you don't know where they are, or don't have them pulled up currently, don't worry. In the chat on the right-hand side of your WebEx screen, there are going to be live links, and those presentation slides will be there in the chat box. Now, if you're just going to wait and not follow along on that particular presentation slide deck, that slide deck is also going to be emailed to you via Eventbrite after today's presentation. Now, also in the chat box will also be some live links to materials and resources that I may reference throughout today's presentation. So if there's anything that I do reference, you can check in the chat box for those particular links. And if you have any technical questions about anything going on with WebEx, say anything going on with your sound or anything that may be going on with WebEx, please feel free to drop those questions in the chat box. We have our expert, Jay, who can help and assist with those types of questions. Now, if you have any specific questions about the subject matter of today's presentation, there is going to be an area in your right-hand side of your screen, the Q&A box, where you can drop those questions. They'll be answered today by the experts here at the USPTO. My managing attorney, Jason Lott, is going to be joining us. He is the managing attorney for Trademark's Customer Outreach, as well as my colleague, attorney Marisa Terrell. So if you have any questions regarding the subject matter of today's presentation, please drop those in the Q&A box. It is currently disabled, but once we start the presentation, you will see it there on your right-hand side. It's very important because we may not have as much time today to answer any questions live. So if you have any burning questions about the subject matter, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Now, on the left side of the screen, closed captioning will be available during today's presentation, and you should see a chat bubble with CC. There you can turn on closed captioning, as well as in the chat box, you should see a live link to closed captioning there as well. Okay, so I've got all of those housekeeping notes out of the way. This is going to be the first in a three-part series, webinar series, where we'll be discussing the federal searching, and we're just going to be discussing the basics. So I'm going to go over our agenda of what we will be discussing, and then we'll get into it. We'll be discussing the search system fundamentals, search system options, specifically drop-downs, as well as searching takeaways. Anything more in depth, like I said, is going to be in the other sessions right after today's presentation. This is just the start, just the beginning, so you know where to go, what you're doing when you're starting in the search system. So without further ado, let's get to talking about the search system fundamentals. All right, so as you know, if you've probably perused our website, uspto.gov, or come to any other of our webinars regarding trademarks, that a trademark is a source indicator for goods, indoor services, and when you're filing an application with the USPTO to get that federal registration and those benefits, that you may want to do some homework prior to filing your application with the office, or there may be a particular reason why you're coming to use that search system. And so we'll talk about some reasons of why you may be using the search system today. So first, you may want to conduct a clearance search before applying to register your trademark. So you file that application with us. There is a fee associated with that. You're not coming to us to buy a trademark or anything of that nature. You're coming to us to tell us what your trademark is and what goods and services are that you are using in connection with that particular trademark. But before you're doing that, because once you pay that fee is non-refundable, you're going to want to do a little homework, what we call a clearance search in the search system database under an analysis called likelihood of confusion. The concept there with likelihood of confusion is that we want to ensure that the marks on the register are not confusing consumers about the source of goods and or services. So with likelihood of confusion, you want to be thinking about two things in that analysis. One, whether the marks are confusingly similar, whether your mark is going to be confusingly similar with an already registered mark. So whether the marks look alike, whether they sound alike, they have the same meaning and connotation or commercial impression. And then number two, you're going to be looking at whether or not they have related goods and or services, whether your application and a registered trademark have the related goods and or services. So that's the analysis that you may conduct when you're conducting what you'll be thinking about when you're conducting a clearance search. Now, you may also want to use the search system to research how the USPTO has treated similar marks. So when you're thinking about terms or phrases or slogan that may be in your mark, you may want to go into the system to say, hey, how has the office treated this? I want to make sure that my application has a good foundation to go through, has met all the requirements to go through toward registration. So I want to see how the USPTO has treated a similar wording in my mark that may possibly be descriptive, or do they treat it as suggestive? There, I could think about a surname refusal. I want to see if this particular term is going to have other meaning other than just a surname. So that's something that you may want to think about when you're conducting a search. You also want to keep in mind, even when you're conducting a search for this reason, that examining attorneys are not bound by the prior decisions of others examining attorneys. So even when you're looking in the system for this particular type of search, or the reason you'd be looking in the system for this particular type of search, that you want to be using this as a resource and not a definitive guide to how the USPTO may have treated similar terms, phrases, words, etc. And the reason for this is because things may have changed over time, right? Meaning and connotation of words and phrases or slogans may change over time. The marketplace changes. So that's why examining attorneys are not bound by those prior decisions, because over time things may change. But you can use this as a resource, or the search system as a resource, to determine how USPTO may have treated similar words, terms, phrases, slogans, etc. You may also want to look in the search system to research how marks that were owned by a particular owner, whether that be yourself or your clients or your competitors, just to go into the system and see who's the owner of a particular mark. And you can also check the status of your application and registration in the search system. So we are going to get into the user interface. I'm going to actually show you the search system, but I want to do a few slides to show you what it looks like and point out some areas that should be of note to you when you're using the search system. So this is a screenshot of the search system. When you go into the database, you can access it at uspto.gov. I'm going to show you how to access it there, as well as going to tmsearch.uspto.gov. So it looks very much like a search engine. You see a search bar there. You can put in the words that allow you to search. It's accessible, free, publicly accessible, free, available 24/7 on our website. So I want to point out two areas on our front page of our website, or search website, is the help section. In the help section is where you would be able to click and find information, basic written instructions. You'll be able to see a glossary of terms, of any terms that you may encounter in the search system, as well as an advanced area that's going to tell you about some other advanced features of the system, as well as some common search strategies, etc. And then to the right of that, you'll see announcements. So announcements are where you will be able to see updates to the system in real time. So anytime that there are any changes to the system, this is where you will be able to go and see what changes have been made to the system. Now, to the right of that, you're going to see that teal flag that says feedback. And this is very important because this is where we want to hear from you and about your user experience in the search system. So if you click there, if you have anything that you want to let us know about your user experience, whether that is constructive or whether it's positive, maybe you've run into an error or bug, something that you feel that needs to be fixed, then you can let us know. And any changes that we have based upon that user feedback, you'll see actually in the announcement section. And I'm excited today to tell you about a particular feature that has been recently added to the search system based exclusively upon user feedback. So there are two ways to search the system. The first is drop-down searches. That is what we'll be talking about in today's presentation. This is usually when you want to conduct a very simple search, a knockout, dead-on search for a single term trademark in the system. That's what we'll be talking about today. That's usually when you're fairly new to the search system, you're a pro se applicant or an applicant who is applying without the assistance of an attorney. You can also use the system searching field tag searches, and I will briefly talk about that, but that is going to be discussed more in depth in the next presentation in the next hour. And there are also two ways to adjust your options when you're conducting these types of searches, and that is basic mode. Basic mode is going to provide you with that baseline functionality in the search system, and then expert mode is going to open up some additional functionality in the search system. Doesn't mean that you have to be an expert in order to use expert mode. It's just going to open up some more functionality. And because of that, we recommend that you just do your searches in expert mode as opposed to basic mode. So really quickly, before we get into some other fundamentals, click around in the user interface, I'm going to show you how you can access the search system. So I'm going to just switch over here. So this you'll see is your main hub for everything trademarks, uspto.gov. And you can, like I said, access the search system by link, tmsearch.uspto.gov, or in the two ways I'm about to show you. So my favorite way to access the search system is to go on the right-hand side of the screen to find it fast. And there's going to be a drop-down menu, and it's the first thing that you see and access there in the drop-down menu, that trademark search. Or you can go over to the left side of your screen, scroll over to trademarks. There's going to be drop-down menu, and in the second column, first row, you'll see search our trademark database. I'm going to click on here because I want to show you that this is the base or the hub for our trademark search system. Here you'll see where you can click on and go into the system, as well as our search page or web page where you'll find additional information about searching. So here you can learn about searching. We have helpful references about clearance searching. This is going to be the landing page for videos such as this one, recorded webinars such as this one that will be here, as well as on the USPTO YouTube site. But this is where you can find that information as well. Any additional handouts that we have, any reference handouts that we have, they're all going to be here on this particular search page. And once you click on the green area, it's going to open up to that search system that I just showed that screenshot of. You have your help section. That's where you can, like I said, find those written instructions to help you get started in the system, some advanced features, as well as that glossary of terms, and then as well as the announcement section where you can see those updates in real time. All right. So once you conduct a search in the search system, and we're going to go in and actually conduct a search in the system so you can see some of the functionality, there are ways that you can view your results. I'm going to show you those three ways. So the first way is grid view, as shown here on the screenshot. This is the view that I prefer just because I can see it better. I wear corrective lenses, and I just like that it's larger there. Or you can look at your results in a list view or a compressed list view. That is all based upon your preference and how you want to view your results. There's no better or worse way to look at those particular results. I like grid view. You may choose to look in compressed list view, but you have the option to look in different views based upon what you want to see when you're conducting your searches. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that you have options to sort your results. That's either by relevance, alphabetically by word mark, by your serial number, by serial number, by class numbers. So you can look and sort those results in the way that you see fit during your search. Also on the left-hand side, you'll see that functionality that's going to allow you to reset or start over in your search. I use that one a lot. I just like to have a clean slate so you can reset and start over in your search. Now on this particular screen, you may see on the left-hand side that you can also filter by live or dead marks. We're going to talk about that shortly, and I'll tell you what that functionality allows you to do. So let's get into drop-down searching, what we will be talking about in this particular session. So searching in basic mode, like I said, provides you with that baseline functionality. You can search in basic mode. We just recommend searching in expert mode because you have a little bit more functionality. But starting here on this screenshot, we're searching in basic mode, where you'll see the area where you can drop down. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see that drop-down area has general search, and then you click there and it's going to drop down and you're going to go to word mark. When you're conducting a drop-down search, you're looking for an exact match or an exact term, a single term. So you're going to be looking for a word mark, a word trademark. And so you'll need to change that area in the drop down. You click there and it's going to give you the functionality to be able to put in that single term, single match. Change it to word mark, type in your trademark, and then you're going to click on your magnifying glass. When you drop down, there are going to be other options and other ways that you can search in the search system. So you may have seen that it's going to always default to general search. General search is going to look into all areas of the database, providing you with information in the database. That could be trademarks, the goods and services, owner names, owner address, mark description, etc. So the specific information that you want, general search is going to search all of that. Now, we don't necessarily recommend searching in general search, and there's a reason for that. So say, for example, you have a mark that is Apple, single term mark that is Apple for sneakers. You're going to drop that down into general search, Apple, and then click that magnifying glass, and it's going to search for every bucket of information in the database. So it's going to show you registrations and applications with the word Apple. It's going to show you goods and services that have the word Apple, owner names that have the word Apple, owner addresses that have the word Apple, marks descriptions that have the word Apple. So you see, you're probably going to get a lot of probably thousands of results that you're going to have to filter through or sift through that may be totally irrelevant to the reason why you're searching or what you're looking for in that particular search. And that's why we say not to search general search, because you're going to get a very bloated result. And you may possibly miss out on something because you're going to be trying to sift through so much information. So that's why you want to focus your search more using something like word mark. You can also search in a drop-down search for goods and services, owner, like we talked about the reasons why you would be searching. One of those reasons is you might be looking for owners of trademarks or your own trademarks, competitors' trademarks, serial number, by registration number, right? You're checking the status of a an application or the status of a registration. You can search by mark description, and you're also going to see in that drop-down menu field tag and search builder, which will be discussed in the next hour. So in basic mode, when you're conducting that drop-down search, I pointed out in one of our screenshots that you're able to see that filtering by live and dead marks. So you may be thinking, what is a live mark? What is a dead mark? What does that even mean? Okay, live marks, so our database is only for registered trademarks as well as pending applications that have been filed and pending and have not moved through toward registration. So a live mark is a current or active registration or current or active application in the system. Dead marks are those registrations that may have been canceled or expired, and then abandoned applications that were filed but did not move on toward registration. And there may be a reason that you're looking at dead marks. There may be there definitely is a reason that you're going to be wanting to look at those live marks. Live marks are the only marks that would be cited against you by an examining attorney once you file your application and if you receive a likelihood of confusion refusal. They're only going to cite a live registration or a live application against your application. Dead marks you may want to consider in reviewing because someone could possibly have had a registration that was canceled, an application that was abandoned, but they're still using the trademark and they still have those common law rights in the trademark. So just really briefly, when you're using a mark out in commerce in connection with goods and or services, you have a trademark, but it's just not registered, federally registered with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. You have common law rights that are only limited to the geographic area where you are using those particular that particular mark in connection with those goods and/or services. So just because someone does not have a registration with the United States Patent and Trademark Office does not mean that they're not currently using that mark or have those common law rights. So that is also a way for you to possibly see, looking at dead marks, to possibly see that, to guide a search that you may do on the internet to find those marks. Or you may filter out dead marks because you're just looking at the live marks that could possibly be cited against your application in that likelihood of confusion analysis. So once we're out of basic mode, you can go into expert mode. Like we said, it just opens up that additional functionality. And basically, it's going to give you more functionality to either search by design code or design description. So there are trademarks, of course, that have design elements, different graphic design elements, etc. So if you were searching for those types of elements, you would be able to use a 6-digit design code to do that. Where do you find a design code to search for those particular types of trademarks? You can go to the help section for our design code manual, and that will provide you with how those different design elements are identified or classified, and to find those 6 digits in order to search them. So you would go to help, and there's going to be the manual there as well. Or you would go to our main search page with those reference guides, and it's going to have the design search code manual there as well. You could also search by design description, but we don't necessarily recommend that because when you're searching by design description, you have to be inputting the terms or the terms or words that are actually in a mark description. So if there's something that you're not putting in there, it may miss, or it's not going to pull up the relevant registrations and applications you may want to review. And so that's why we say it's better to search by design code for those different design elements that may be in a trademark that you're looking for or want to search for. So in expert mode, in that drop-down menu, you're going to see general search. It's always going to default to general search, whether you're in basic or expert mode. You're going to be looking, you'll see the word mark, goods and services, owner, serial number, registration, mark description, and then that added functionality of looking by design or searching by design code or design description, and then field tag in the search builder as well. So let's look at some functionality in expert mode that allows you to filter your results in a different way. So you can still filter by those live and dead marks, but you'll also be able to filter by class. Now, classes are how goods and services are identified in applications. We have our identification manual. You can also find that manual in the help section, as well as on our main search page as well. And that is where you're determining, or what you would be putting in your application as far as a heading to let us know where your goods and or services would be classified, or we call it identifications, but where they would be classified. So that's what we mean by filtering by class. So you can filter by coordinated class when you're in expert mode. Once you're inputting whatever your class is, for example, we have here class 28, the more bolded class you see there that is checked. Remember, that likelihood of analysis, likelihood of confusion analysis, you're going to be looking for goods and services that may be related to your goods and or services. So if you're clicking the class that your goods are in, once you click that for coordinated class, it's going to gray out the other classes of goods that may be related to your goods and or services. So this allows you to see those possibly similarly confusing marks, as well as those related goods and or services. A good example of that I like to use is, like, say for example, you're coming in for an application for class 25 goods. It's very common. Class 25 goods are clothing goods or apparel goods, and you also possibly want to look for confusingly similar marks in coordinated classes such as class 18, right, for tote bags, purses, wallets, leather goods, or class 14 for jewelry, because it is in the marketplace, consumers are used to seeing these types of goods sold under the same marks by the same entity, by the same source. So that's what we're talking about when we're saying you want to look for those related goods and or services, and coordinated class is a way to filter that. You can also search by international class. So just the class that your goods and or services may be in, you want to see, hey, what other marks are out there that are possibly in the same class for those related goods and or services. So you have that functionality when you're in expert mode. Now, a common search strategy that we say to consider when you're narrowing down all the way down to the international class is to consider like class 35, which is like retail store services, online retail store services. Class 42, which is a catch-all, was a catch-all class, historically a catch-all class, or it could have some other classes that were historically classified in class 42. Also looking at A class, which is goods certification marks, B, services certification marks, as well as 200 for those collective membership marks. So that's something that you can also input when you're narrowing down to international class. You also have the option to tag your results in expert mode. So here you'll see once your results come up and however you're viewing those particular results, this is an example of if you're looking in like grid mode, it's going to be in the upper left-hand side. You would click that and you could export or tag your results as well as export those results in an Excel spreadsheet. Export is going to let you export by results on the page, the first 500 results, those tag results, or by your search history. And so this is one that like I said, I wanted to tell you about that was based upon user feedback. So once you're in expert mode, you're able to tag and see summary pages when you click on particular results. So it's a brand new feature based on user feedback, but you have to be logged into your My USPTO account in order to access this feature. What this allows you to do is when you receive your results or you're viewing your results and say there's a particular registration or application that you want to look at, you click on it and it's going to take you to a summary page that's going to provide you with more condensed information, relevant information about that particular registration or application. Previously, once you were in the search system and you clicked on it, it would take you to our outside system, our trademark search and document retrieval system, which would allow you to look at that registration or serial number, but you would have to open up different tabs, et cetera, to see all of the information that you may be interested in. So your My USPTO account is what you need in order to access this summary page. My USPTO is the account that you're going to open when you're thinking about filing that application, or when you actually file your trademark application. You'll set up one of these accounts, the My USPTO account, and then you'll be able to search as well in the My USPTO account. And when you click on any of your results, you'll be able to access this summary page. You will not be able to access the summary page if you are not in My USPTO. And I'm going to show you what that looks like momentarily when we do some of the hypotheticals. All right, so we've gone through why you would be searching in the system. We've gone through the different types of features and functionalities in the system. And now we're going to get into some hypotheticals so you can see the system in real time. So we talked about the reasons why you want to search, right? That clearance search, you may be wanting to look by owner, look for owners. You may be wanting to check the status of a serial, an application or a registration. So let's start with saying that you possibly want to see trademarks that are owned by the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So let's go ahead and go over into the system. So this is we're in the main system, and I actually have two tabs opened up for both being in My USPTO in the system and being outside of that, because I want to show you the differences in those summary pages as well. If we're looking for the owner, remember we're going to go to our drop down. You can be in basic mode, but we always recommend being in expert mode. You're going to drop down and go down to your owner. And you're going to just type in United States Patent and Trademark Office. Got an extra letter there. And you're going to click on your magnifying glass, and it's going to bring you 4 results for owners, a United States Patent and Trademark Office. Let's go through a little bit of that functionality so you can see it in real time. So we're in expert mode. We're doing an owner search. We're in grid view. You can search or look at your results in that list view or that compressed list view. To the right of that, you'll be able to export those results. You can click on and then tag your results and then export the results that you feel relevant to your search. Like I said, once we're in expert mode, we have more functionality. We can still do that sorting. We can still reset our search, but we can also do that status filter sorting of those live and those dead marks, as well as filtering by coordinated class and international class, just based upon the relevancy to your particular search. One thing that I really like about our search system is when you're hovering over certain things in the search system, it's going to provide you with more definitions. So say if you can't remember, I don't know what live or dead means, what registered, what pending means, it's going to provide you with further information. So some of these you don't even have to go into the help section to look at the glossary terms because it's going to provide you with the information that you need. Even when you're hovering over the expert area here, it's going to show you what additional functionality that you receive once you search in that expert mode. All right, so let's do a hypothetical of how you can check the status of a trademark application. So in order to check a status of a trademark application in the search system, you will actually need an application number. And we're going to use this one here, 908-66054. I'm just going to clear this out, or you can reset your search. It's going to always default to general search. And then we're going to do a drop down to the serial number, and we're going to input that serial number. We're going to click our magnifying glass, and it pulls up an application to check the status. So you see when you're looking on that second line of the particular results, you can see it's going to tell you what the status is. It's going to be in green or it's going to be in red if it's a dead mark. Here it's telling you it's live and it's a registered mark. Now I'm currently in my USPTO account, and I want to show you that summary page functionality. So you see you can click here, and it's going to take me to a summary page of this particular information about the application, or in this case, about this particular registration in a more condensed form. Now, if I were outside of my USPTO, I'm just going to sign out here, and I'm just in the search system. I'm going to go in expert mode. I am going to search that serial number, 908, there it is. That magnifying glass, if I were to click on this particular mark, it's going to take me out to our trademark status and document retrieval system. So it's your preference of how you want to view that, but we're just showing you that you have the functionality now in my USPTO to look at a summary page that's more condensed information, or you can look in TSDR, but it's going to provide the same information, just not in a condensed way like it shows on the summary page. So you'll still be able to see here the status, the documents, any maintenance documents or dates, still be able to see the same information, but it's not going to be as condensed. You have to like open up different sections in order to see that information. All right. So here you may want to check, so you can check the status of that serial number or that application. You may want to check the status of a trademark registration. You need a registration number in order to check the status of a trademark registration. And we're going to go back into the system. I'm just going to reset here just to show you where it is, but you can always just click that X there and it'll X out that information that you have in the search bar. You're going to scroll down to your drop down menu for that registration to be able to input that registration number, 683-2052. 2052. Click our magnifying glass. and it's going to give us that registration, and you're able to see the status there with that live registered mark. It's in green. Like I said, if it's a dead mark, it's going to be red. It's going to tell you what the status is based upon whether it's canceled or if it's an abandoned application. So let's actually get into a clearance search. This is probably the reason most people are going to be using the search system when they're doing that likelihood of confusion analysis, or you're applying for you're applying for a trademark with the USPTO. You're probably going to want to come in and do that homework to make sure that there aren't any other confusingly similar marks for same related or related goods and/or services. So say you want to conduct a clearance search before you apply to register for Goober as a brand name for surfboards. So let's go into the system and conduct this search. So like I said, you can just clear out here if you want to. I'm just going to reset to make sure something crazy doesn't happen while we're doing the instruction today. It's always going to default to general search. We don't want to do general search because we don't want to find Goober everywhere in the search database. We're going to drop down to that word mark. We're going to put in that single term, exact term trademark that we're looking for, Goober, and we're going to click our magnifying glass. We are in expert mode, right, because we want that additional functionality. Clicking that, so we have 55 results for the word Goober in the search system. Like I said, I'm looking in grid view. I like to see more of the information, just pointing out here how you can see that status. If it's dead, canceled mark, it is red, and then if it's live and or registered or pending application, it's going to be that green color, live dead marks. We can filter these results. So we have 55 results. You can look through 55 results if you want to, but based upon why you're searching or the relevancy to your search, you may say, hey, I want to filter out those dead marks. I don't want to look at the dead marks. You just click there, and it's going to take it now down to 14 results. We're just looking at only live marks. You may want to search by that coordinated class. We're looking for those related goods and/or services. Surfboards are in international class 28. So we can click on 28 here to look at that coordinated class. And it's going, if you're looking on the left side, it's going to gray out those coordinated classes that maybe have related goods and/or services. And it's going to take our results down to 8 results so that we can review and that we can look at. You can always click on these to get additional information. If you're in My USPTO, it's going to take you to that summary page. And if you're not, you're just going to go to TSDR, our document retrieval, our search and document retrieval page. So if you don't want to look by coordinated search, we can change it here. We can turn that off. We're at our 14 results because we're still looking at those live marks. We can go into class 28 because we want to filter down to just the international class. You just want to look at goods and/or goods that are in class 20 that may be related to your goods, surfboards in class 28. And then we just have one, it's going to take it down to 1 result. You may want to look at both because you don't want to miss anything when we're thinking about those related goods and/or services, but you can filter down to the international class, and that's how you would do that. Oops, something went wrong here. All right, let's put our search back in. I don't know quite what I hit. We're in our expert mode, and we just want to search Goober. Let's see. Okay. Let's see if I can get back in the system here. I don't think that's me. So I'm just going to go home. I'm going to restart, go back.
Christina, this is
Yes.
Jason. You
Yes.
also might want to try logging into your USPTO.gov account.
Okay.
Because sometimes that'll help reduce the errors if you're logged into your account.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jason.
Sure.
That's why he's the expert. That's why we got him on the line. Okay, so I'm in my USPTO account, and you can see I have it as favorites. You can search trademarks. Let's see if it was opened up here. Yes. Okay, it still has me logged out for some reason. Let's just check one more time. We're looking for Goober for surfboards. There it is. It's working now. Okay, Goober for surfboards. And like I said, you can filter, we're in basic mode, so let's change it to expert mode so that we can have that additional functionality. So again, when you're looking in for a drop-down search for a word mark, you're going to just look for that single term trademark that you're inputting the word mark. Now you may be thinking to yourself, hey, I want to search more. Say if I have a mark that has just 2 terms, how is that going to look, or what's going to happen when I put those 2 terms into the mark? Let's try that. Let's look for goober madness. We have 2 terms and we're supposed to be looking for 1 term. We're going to search here with our magnifying glass and it's going to bring up 1,168 results. Okay, more results that you're going to have to filter through here than just 55 or 14 results. And the reason is when you're doing a search that has more than 1 term in a drop-down search, the system is going to look for each word, each term in that particular mark and provide you with relevant result or search results relevant to each term. Here. So here it's going to search for marks that are goober, and you see those are appearing first. It's going to search for marks that are goober plus other wording, and then also madness, and then madness possibly other wording, and then other marks at the end. And because of the algorithm, it's just going to put up the more relevant, what the search system believes is the more relevant marks to your search, but you could possibly miss something. So in this particular type of search, a drop-down search, you're not going to be putting more than 1 term. Say if you had the word "and" there, the system would literally search goober, the word, and marks with the word "and" then marks with the word "madness." So you want to make sure when you're using this drop-down search, you're looking for those single term exact matches. If you want to do a more complex search, you would be using field tag searching, which we're going to learn about in the next hour. All right. Okay, so we've done Goober as a brand name for surfboards. Let's talk about our searching giveaways or takeaways, searching takeaways. Okay, so we know that we can search either in basic mode or that expert mode. Basic mode is just going to give you that basic functionality. You're using this type of search that requires minimal filtering. You're doing drop-down searches that don't require a lot of filtering, status filtering for those particular results. And you're using your expert mode, or we recommend using expert mode for most of the searches that you're going to be conducting. Drop-down searching that we mostly did today is going to be used for, you can use the owner option for searching for trademark owners. You can use the options of serial number or registration number when you want to check the status of a application or a registration. You do need to have a number in order to do that when you're checking the status of your application or your registration. You will also use the word mark option for exact match single term searches. Remember, when we're inputting more than 1 term into a search, doing a drop-down search, it is going to search for those terms individually, which may provide us with results that are going to be irrelevant to the search that we're conducting. And you could possibly miss things. Say if you start to filter doing those status filters, you may possibly miss things that you're looking for. So that's why with the word mark option, you're just going to do an exact match single term. You would be using your field tag options for more complex multiple term searches, which we'll be discussing shortly, but you'll be doing the field tag for more of those complex searches with field tags or with design elements, etc. All right, so we've talked about those basics, those functionalities. If you have any questions about the reasons why you may be searching, about some of the search system options, about anything that you may want to see up on the screen again, please drop them in the chat. Let us know. I'm going to ask the expert again, Jason Lott, to join me and let us know if we have any questions that we need to address.
All right. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
And go ahead and keep the screen up there because maybe we'll fool around a little bit with the system. We had one question come in, and that was from Lynn, and we addressed it. And it was a question about how do you get the design code and design description options to show. And I think you already have it checked there. We have expert mode turned on, so that is going to do it.
Yes.
So that's how we see those things.
See it there.
Do you mind going and click on design code there for the folks?
Okay.
And
Let's see if I
yeah,
can
get
think
rid
of
of
one.
anything that you see up
Pretty,
there so we can see underneath it.
yeah. I like to reset everything.
Yeah, sure.
Some people don't. Okay, so we have design code, and right underneath design code, you'll see the design code manual. So there's you can go to help. It's going to be right here. I love this system because everything is literally right there for you. You can click on the design code manual. So say you were looking for something that had a zebra in the mark, has some type of design element that is a zebra. You can type in the word zebra, and it's going to bring up that six-digit code that you need in order to search for that particular type of design element. So here we have zebra 030503. We can go into the search system. Go back here. Here it goes, 030503. And that design search code, we can click the magnifying glass, and I'm receiving another error. What did I do wrong?
I think
Okay.
you're still signed out
Save.
of your
Okay.
USPTO.gov.
I am not sure why that is not showing up.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Signed in.
And one of the reasons, folks, that that we do recommend you sign into your USPTO.gov account is this
So you
exactly.
don't have those issues.
Yeah, sometimes there are loading errors that take place when you're outside of your USPTO.gov account. And so if you're inside, there isn't any real throttling that's happening if too much action is happening on the system. So that's going to be one of the best ways to help avoid those errors is to be signed in.
Okay, let me sign in here. Take Jason's advice. It's showing me it's signed in. I don't know why it's not. So give me just a moment here. I'm going to switch over.
Sure.
I'm just going to stop this while I sign in. Apologize for that, everyone.
No problem. No problem. So while Christina is doing that, one of the things that I can chat about you with is the value of being logged into your USPTO.gov account. Obviously, as you've seen, errors is potentially one of those reasons. The other, as Christina mentioned, is it gives you that access to that summary page when you select a result that you get on your results page. That was something that a lot of our attorney and paralegal friends had asked for. They said, hey, we don't want to go all the way into TSDR and fool around with all those different things. We just want that single page summary, much like the old system used to have. So that's one of the benefits of being logged into USPTO.gov. And one of the other reasons that we talk about it is we want to encourage you to have that account and work through that account, because as the system continues to grow and expand and we add on more capabilities and things like that, there are going to be more options that are become available to you inside your USPTO.gov account. So if you have specific suggestions on how you would like to be able to customize this system, let us know. Use that feedback tab and it'll go to the developers and they can work on additional ways to customize. A lot of times people want to say, hey, I want to be able to save a search or something like that. I don't think we're going to be able to do hotkeys, but those sorts of things that allow you to sort of like have the setup that you want when you log into the system without a whole lot of fooling around to try and get it set the way you want.
Yes.
All right, looks like you're logged in. Awesome.
I am. Okay, so we just did that design code for Zebra 030503. That's what the 6-digit code that we're referring to. You have to drop down. You're in expert mode to design code. You put in that code, and this is bringing us the results for marks that have that design element, a type of zebra design element. We have 527 results. You can filter the results in the way that you see fit. Say you have zebra for t-shirts that we want to do. So t-shirts are in that class 25 for the apparel goods. If we're looking by coordinated class, we would just click on class 25, and that's going to gray out those related class or those coordinated classes, give us those, takes it down or filters it down to 226 results. So you see how that can change based upon the relevancy or what you're looking at when you're in the search system.
And one thing to really highlight there, folks, thank you, Christina, for showing that. Just keep in mind that relatedness and coordinated class isn't always exactly the same thing. So it's a way to kind of think about it. And so you kind of think about the fact that the goods or services in coordinated classes are probably going to be related, but it isn't always a guarantee. It's our best guess at things that probably, maybe, kind of sometimes are, but don't take it as an absolute guarantee. Always make sure you're running multiple searches in multiple ways just to make sure you can find and make sure there's nobody else out there who has applied for a registered trademark who might be a problem for you. So again, still no questions coming in, Christina, but you know me, I always have a ton of them. One of the things that I would love for you to do is highlight for the folks the little gray arrow that is next to the goods and services. So if you take a look at that first result there, and click on the little gray arrow next to clothing. Yeah, and if you could maybe talk about that real quick as a benefit for folks.
Yeah, so you're able to you can click on and look at that summary page, but this is a way to look at the classes or what is in that particular this is a registration. Look at that, what is in the registration. Also, when you're conducting that analysis or viewing your results, in that particular analysis, you can see what types of goods and services are there. So things that you could possibly be thinking about, like Jason said, if the coordinated classes aren't necessarily our best guess, it's just our best guess of what could possibly be related, doesn't necessarily mean that they are, but you're able to see and make your analysis of whether these goods and services could possibly relate it when you're looking at each specific, when you're looking at specific registrations or applications.
Yeah, and it's really, I mean, here's the way I think about it anyway. So you can go ahead and close that out, Christina, if you want to. So when you're trying to quickly conduct your likelihood of confusion analysis, right? Christina used to do this. I used to do this. Maurice used to do it because we're all examining attorneys, and and so we were examining applications. What you're quickly trying to do is compare those trademarks, but you also have to take into account the relatedness of the goods and services. So it's pretty easy to quickly do a comparison of those trademarks. Does this zebra look like this zebra? Uh-oh, maybe I should look a little more. And so you obviously can see there in the tile, you have a couple of words in the goods and services field, so you can kind of get a sense. But as you saw, there's more to it than that. So you could quickly take a look and be like, oh, I guess this is probably fine. But if you don't open that up and take a look and see what all is actually there, you might miss something, right? So that's why we recommend, it kind of, those top 3 lines of the goods and services kind of give you a good idea of the stuff that's probably in there. But as you can see here, we didn't know that there was also going to be arranging and conducting travel tours and things like that. So that's a great way to make sure you're getting all the information that you need.
Yeah, when you're conducting the search, you're definitely going to want to go in and look like we were talking about. There's different ways to view your results, but you're just going to have to dig in a little deeper. This isn't just, oh, I just saw these results. I can look eyeball and see if the zebras are the same or etc. Or I don't see t-shirts in this first line or something of that nature, that you're still going to have to go a little bit deeper into looking at those specific applications, etc., to see if you're possibly missing anything.
Yeah. That's the work, folks.
That's the work.
Likelihood of confusion analysis is not real quick and easy. It does take some a little bit of study. So I'll tell you what, Christina, we are 3 minutes out from needing to take a break before we move on to the second one. Actually, do you mind putting it up? I have one more question for you. I want to do one more thing here for the folks. And so this is, in many ways, I want to, if you could, Christina, go to general search.
Okay.
Drop down. Now, remember, we always recommend don't use general search. And there really, to my way of thinking, isn't a real use case for it, but it's in there. So if you could type in birthday space boy space LLC. It's not my birthday today, folks, but I just, or birthday, whatever.
Oh boy, sorry, birthday.
It's all good.
Boy.
No, it works. Anyway, I was just like three random words to some extent. So as you can see, Christine, if you could sort of talk that through a little bit for folks and maybe scroll to see some of the results and how it's probably not what they're looking for.
Yeah. So when we talked about when you're doing a general search, the system is going to look in all those areas of information because you're basically telling it, hey, I want you to look for birthday. I want you to look for boy. I want you to look for LLC. And it's going to look for trademarks, goods and services, owner names, owner addresses, etc. All of those buckets of information is going to look for these particular terms. So as you can see, the algorithm is in the system is kind of, pushing up things that you may want to look like at birthday boy, birthday boy, birthday boy. You see this top line, but it's also going to start giving you things with just boy, LLC is going to probably, like, if you look at this one that I'm hovering over, it's in the owner name, right? LLC, but nothing else is connected to birthday boy, right? So you're going, our birthday girl is here. You have other things that you're looking at that say, hey, this has nothing to do with it. LLC is right there in the owner name. So you're going to get this result. Here we have 5,747 results that have made, in 3,000 of them may have nothing to do with the search or be relevant to what you're looking at in that particular search. So that's why we tell you not to necessarily look in general search. I don't know what, there may be a reason why you want to, but based upon what is going to be pulled up, you're going to probably get a lot more information than you're actually looking for, or what's going to be relevant to the reason why you're conducting this search. So as I'm scrolling down, you see there are things that here that don't have birthday or boy. They're probably that LLC in that owner name or in that address, etc. Things that have nothing to do with the search that you're looking for. I also want to point out here this area that says refine search by goods and/or services. This is something that we also recommend. The functionality is there, but we don't necessarily recommend that you use that refine by goods and services, probably until the very last or end of your search, where you just want to do a dead on to see, hey, I just want to make sure there are no identical goods and services for similarly confusing marks. If you put in whatever good and/or services, say we were looking for that Goober as a brand name for surfboards, if you put in surfboards, it's only going to return those marks with goods that have the word surfboards. But you're going to possibly miss out on marks that could be confusingly similar, but have things such as boogie boards or wetsuits, or those online retail store services for surfboard, boogie boards or wetsuits, or beach wear or swimsuits, etc. So it's going to search or refine that search only by the term that you input there. So that's going to be a very, very narrow search, and you could possibly miss something. So yes, possibly you can do that at the end of your search if you just want to do a cleanup and make sure that you found everything, but we don't necessarily recommend doing that search because you may miss something.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to step
All
away,
right.
Christina, so you can close us out, and we'll be back for the field tag searching here in a minute.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, Marisa, for answering the questions in the Q&A. Thank you, Jay, today for all of your assistance in our chat box. And thank you for attending and learning about getting started in our federal search system. We have, like I said, this is the first part of a 3-part series that we're going to start in just a few minutes regarding field tag searching. Thank you so much. You're going to receive those presentation slides via email via Eventbrite after today's presentation. And you're also going to receive a survey via Eventbrite regarding today's presentations. Please feel free to provide us with any feedback that you want us to know about today's presentations. We want to make sure always that we're providing you with efficient presentations regarding searching, and make sure that we're telling you and communicating that information in the best way possible. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Have a great day.